Hi guys, Mrs. McHenry here. Today I'm going to show you how to make a super simple pie crust using just a few basic ingredients. Flour, shortening, salt, and ice cold water. Key here, ice cold. More on that in a minute. So, to get this started, you need a bowl of some sort. It doesn't have to be glass. This was just for ease so you could see. You're going to need some sort of pastry blender, fork, or knives, okay? So we're going to use this to cut in, which I'll explain momentarily. Here's my fork, my fancy pie fork. Okay, and a rolling pin. This is all very basic. This is stuff that everyone has at home. All right, so let's start this. We're going to get 2 cups of flour, all right? 2 cups. Remember, we are going to scoop in. We never, well, using a scooper, we never use our measuring cup to scoop. It compacts it, and then we get an inaccurate measurement. So we're just going to put this in our bowl, and we're going to do this one more time. Now, you're going to want to keep your flour out after you measure, simply because you're going to need your flour to help prevent your pie crust from sticking to the counter. All right, we're done with this thing. Look at that. Off to the side. Next up, we need a teaspoon of salt. Teaspoon of salt. So we're just going to stick this in here, and then please don't forget to level it off. Salt's just going to add a little bit of flavor here, because our pie crusts, they don't rise really, okay? Not to the extent that we're used to things rising, at least. Now we're going to just fluff this up a little bit, okay? Get that salt mixed in nicely, and then we're going to start adding the shortening. To do the shortening, this is how I like to do it. I like to take the back of my spoon, scoop it up, not in the front because then you have to try to scrape it out. And then I simply take and press it in. Remember, shortening gets compacted much like your brown sugar or your peanut butter or anything like that. Please be sure to hold the bottom of the measuring cup so that you don't accidentally break off one of the handles. A lot of you know what I'm talking about. You've got handleless measuring cups in those kitchens because somebody was innocently packing in brown sugar and they were doing it like this and they popped off this handle. So please hold the base, support it. So we're going to pack it in until it won't pack anymore. And we're going to overflow it, just like we do anything else. Take our leveling spatula or our knife and level it off. Easy. And then you're simply going to scrape it in. Get as much of it as you can out. You won't get every little bit. That's okay. Alright, and then we're going to do this one more time. Scoop in with the back of our spoon. Compact it in there. Whoops. Don't miss the container. Pack it in so you can't pack anymore. Level it off. And get all those extra parts. We do not want extra shortening. Extra shortening means we're going to get a short crust. Those tend to be really greasy. They're not very good, okay? They also are harder to work with if they're super greasy. Now, we need 2 tablespoons as well. So we're going to do the same thing. I'm just going to take the back of my spoon, and I'm going to hold my spoon on the other end, and I'm just going to pack it in. No big deal. You've done this a million times with brown sugar. Why not do it with shortening? Level it off. Scoop it out. If you do it nice and quick in one smooth motion, you get more of it out. Look how quick this is. See, this is taking no time to measure whatsoever. Really easy. As long as you pay attention, it'll be really easy for you. One quick scoop. Whoop. See, look, most of it just came out. So I put some of it back in there. Whoopsie poopsie. Alright, these things are done, so we don't need them anymore. Into the sink they go. And this is going to go off to the side. Okay, remember, put your stuff away as you use it. Alright, now, here's what we're going to do now. I've got all of my ingredients in here, and now I'm going to start cutting in. We talked about this when we were in nutrition and wellness. Cutting in simply means we are going to force the fat in to the flour. I am using a pastry fork, actually. It's a slightly larger fork than normal. However, you can use a standard fork that's in your kitchen. You can use your pastry blender, or many people prefer using 2 butter knives. The 2 butter knives thing kind of annoys me, so I do the pastry fork. Now, with this, it's not hard, but you have to be patient. We are going to cut in until the flour is pea-sized. Okay? Now, notice here right now, I have some really big chunks of shortening still. We do not want big chunks of shortening. We want it all to be evenly mixed in there. And you're just going to keep turning your bowl until it is all evenly mixed. Okay? Pretend like it's on a turntable. Once in a while, clean the sides and flip it over. And you just keep going until it is all evenly distributed and pea-sized. Now, in directions that you have, it'll tell you pea size, it'll tell you what you're supposed to look for, but really the key to pie making is just knowing what it should look like, much like your candy making. Half that battle is just knowing what you should be seeing. So, notice up on the edges, it tends to get a lot of flour on the edges, and you just need to pull that flour back into the center so you can cut it in. See, this is not difficult now, is it? You get a little bit of an arm workout there, some of you. Alright, we're just going to keep doing this, and we're getting close. See how we're getting close here? Now, something else to mention as we're working on this. Some of you I've seen, you like to touch stuff. You're very tactile. Do not reach in and grab this to see what it feels like. Whenever you touch it, you melt the shortening in there, okay? The heat from your hands will melt that shortening, and it makes it difficult to work with. It causes it to stick more whenever you turn it out. We want to handle this the least amount possible. All right. Don't mind the fact that I'm just flipping it out. That's no big deal. I'm a messy cook. You've seen my other videos. All right. Let's see here. At this point, you can kind of see what it looks like. Well, let me clean this off, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, everything is evenly distributed. There isn't any flour without shortening at this point. That's exactly what you want to see. Now for the fun part. The water. It calls for 4 to 5 tablespoons of ice cold water. And that ice cold part is really, really important. The ice cold water is going to drop the temperature of this fat. It's going to help it all stick together a little bit better and make it easier for you to work with. You add one tablespoon at a time. So I have here literally water with ice in it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that tablespoon, I'm just going to kind of drizzle it all over the pie crust, and then I'm going to toss. This is not a stir. This is a toss. Okay? You toss only. We do not stir pie crust. See? I'm tossing. And you're going to do this until it sticks together and cleans the side of the bowl here. So we're not there yet. So we're going to add another tablespoon of water. If you add too much, it'll get too sticky and you won't be able to roll it out. So we're tossing, see? Tossing, tossing. Notice there's no stirring, okay? All tossing. Flip it up, flip it up. Okay, still not clean the side of the bowl, still not sticking to itself. So we're going to go for, what was this, tablespoon number 3. Drizzle it over it, set it down, give it another toss. Now, pie crust is one of those things, just like candy. Different days, different things, okay? You've got to be in the right frame of mind to do it so you know exactly what you're supposed to look like, the feeling. Oh, look, we're getting close. It's really sticking to itself here. And it's starting to ball up. See? This is awesome. This is what we're looking for. We're really close. So, when you get close like this, start adding about a half a tablespoon at a time. Half a tablespoon. We're going to drizzle. Because we can always add more, but we can't take away. Alright, we're tossing. We're tossing. Alright, let's see. Is it going to stay in one piece? Nope. I think we need that extra half a tablespoon and we'll be good. Psh. Helps when you make the sound effects to go along with it. I support sound effects. Alright. Look at this. At this point now, it's sticking together. Okay? And it's cleaned the sides of the bowls, at least the sides that it's touching. And this is exactly what we're looking for right here. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do, because I don't want to touch it unless I have to. I am going to have to, but I'm going to clean off my fork here. Into the sink. And then what I'm going to do is, very quickly, so that I don't risk melting my dough, I'm going to take, and I'm just going to form, this is almost too wet right here even. Since we are doing a two-crusted pie, I'm going to form it into a little patty kind of like this, alright? I'm going to take my butter knife, cut it in half approximately. With this other half, I'm going to take and put it in the refrigerator. That helped helps keep that fat nice and cold, which is exactly what we want to happen. All right, so let's talk about the table or the countertop, all right, that you're going to work on. It is easiest if you get some parchment paper and you put it on your countertop. That way, if your pie crust sticks, you can easily peel it up off of this. If you have it on the countertop direct, which you can do, you're going to have to get a spatula. You're going to have to try to scrape it out from underneath it. It ends up tearing your pie crust, and it's a pain, okay? You save yourself a lot of grief if you get a piece of parchment out. I have an actual pie mat, so I'm going to skip that. Now, you are going to need a little bit of flour. A little bit is the key here. See this right here? Make it snow, just a little bit. Right here, this is what you're looking for. Oh. And don't forget, you always need a little pile of flour off to the side. This is all you need. You do not need a whole cup of flour sitting over here. So what we're going to do, we're going to shape this into a circle as best we can. So we're putting it in a circled pie pan. You take a little bit of this flour off to the side, rub it on here. Okay? Gently rub it on there. You want it to look like this. We do not want to over-incorporate flour. Doing so will cause your dough to become very tough. All right, and then you just set it right in the center. I like to pat it down a little bit. All right, and then take your rolling pin and just cover it with flour lightly. All right. Now, when you are rolling out a pie dough, you are going to gently roll it out, and you're going to go every direction. You're going to go diagonals. Whoops, don't get too wild. All right, you're going to go diagonals. Put that back together. That's the nice part about this. You can just piece it right back together. All right. If you need to, add a little more flour. You should be able to pick up your pie dough. Add a little more flour. And this is the bottom crust, so if it's ugly, who cares? All right. Anyways, we're going to go diagonal. We're going to go front to back. We're going to go side to side. You're going every which direction, okay? Until you have the size of pie crust that you need. Do not excessively roll it. Here's how you tell if it's the right size. You take your pie plate and then you put it on top of it. You want about 1 inch around the edge. That's how you know if it's the right size or not. Mine is not quite 1 inch all the way around. So I'm simply going to pick it up, set it over here, put a little more flour on this pie rolling pin. Heavens and mercy. All right, and I'm going to roll it out just a little bit more. Now, let's try it again. Look at that. 1 inch. All right. Pick this up. Now, here is one of the more challenging parts, okay, granted. We are going to pick up this pie crust and put it in this pie plate. To do this, the easiest way to do this, get your fingers gently underneath here, and gently and slowly pull it to one side. Front to back, side to side, it's whatever you're most comfortable with. I like to go front to back. All right, because then I'm going to take my pie plate, set it right in front of me, and then I'm just going to lift up here from the center, and I'm going to drag it right into the center, just like this. And then you simply lift the other half up. Okay? Now, once you're to this point, you're really kind of home free at this point. You're just going to take and gently lift up the pie crust and pat it in so it conforms to the plate all the way around. If you have a situation where it's kind of folding here, that's okay. Just press it in there. It's not a big deal. Okay? So there's a lot of flexibility within a pie crust as long as the dough itself is right. Now, we still have another crust to do, but what we're going to do is we're going to set this off to the side, okay? Now, in lab, what you should have going on right now, in lab, you should have somebody doing your pie crust, a couple somebodies maybe, and a couple somebodies making your filling. You're going to make an apple pie, okay? So you'll need to cut the apples up and so on and so forth. Once the filling is ready, dump this in here. I have filling. I reckon we could go ahead and do that. I have filling that was frozen. Black raspberry. So, I'm going to I'm just going to put my filling right in here. Alright. Take this, spread this around a little bit. Try to get your filling in here as evenly as possible so when it bakes nice and evenly, okay? Okay, pie filling. And now we're going to do your second crust. Now, this top crust, it's a little more important that it's pretty because it is going on top. However, at the same time, it's food. Worst case scenario, it's ugly, you eat it, and no one ever knows about it. That's the nice part about this, huh? All right, we're going to put a little bit of flour out here like we did before. We're going to rub a little bit more on the side, a little bit more on this side, plop it down. All right. On the day you do this in lab, you might want to consider not wearing a dark color because you will be covered in flour. It's just part of it. Maybe even bring an apron from home. Sounds like a great plan. All right, and again, front to back, diagonal, side to side. We're trying to make this as round as possible. This one doesn't need to be quite as big because we're not having to account for the space or the area of the sides here, okay? So we're just going to keep doing this till it's satisfactory. Now, with the tops, okay, in regards to the tops, you can do a lot of different things to the top of a pie crust. You can do a lattice, so that's where it's like the basket weave, okay? You can do that. You can leave it flat. I like just to leave it plain, okay? You can even take some cookie cutters and cut out some shapes to make it look fancy, if you please. I'm not exactly fancy here, but nonetheless, this should be plenty of space to cover this. So, if you're going to do lattice, let me just tell you about this. If you're going to do lattice, what you're going to do is you're going to take a ruler and you're going to mark an inch, okay? Approximately. And you'll need a ruler. And you are going to make lines all the way down it. And you're going to cut. Since I'm not doing this, I'm not going to do it. But you're going to make lines, you're going to cut. You're really just going to make strips. And you will weave it. It is really quite simple. If you want to know how to do that, I'd be happy to show you in class. I'm just going to pretend like those lines aren't there. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. This is what I do because it's easy and it still looks nice. I'm going to pull it forward, okay? Did it differently this time. And then I'm going to set my pie right here. Put it about halfway across so it'll cover the whole thing. And then you flip it over. Look at that. Perfect. Nice and easy. You see I have a little crack here, and that's not a big deal. Next, what we're going to do, you're going to take a butter knife. Sorry, I forgot I still needed my butter knife. You're going to take a butter knife. You're going to lift up this crust here, and you're going to put your finger right at the very edge, your index finger. Line it up right with the edge of the pie plate. And then place the dough over it. And you're just going to cut the dough on the edge of your finger. It's a butter knife. It's not going to kill you, alright? I promise. And you're just going to go all the way around and do that. This is so that we don't have an excess amount of dough in our pie. It tends not to bake up well. It takes up extra room. And we're going to do this all the way around the pie. Okay? If it gets awkward, just start in a different spot until you meet up with the other spot. Alright. You'll notice that your top crust and your bottom crust are different lengths. Your bottom crust is a little bit bigger, and that's okay. Alright, so this is what it should look like at this point, okay? A little bit of flopping over. Now, what we're going to do, we are going to take these two pieces right here, the top and the bottom, and we are going to fold it. And we're going to do this all the way around. And if a little bit of it cracks along the way, it's not a big deal. But if you've made a nice crust, it'll be very pliable. It won't be dry, but it's not going to be sticky wet either. You have got to, when you're making that crust, make sure you only use the water that is needed. If you have dry flour, you're going to need more water. If you have more moist flour, you're going to need less water. And it's just a judgment call. That's where knowing what it's supposed to look like is really helpful. Now, we need to seal these edges. What was that term? Let's see here. Nutrition and wellness. You made it pretty, but it also sealed. Oh! Fluting! We are going to flute the edges of your pie. To do this, you're going to take your index finger and your thumb. You're going to do this. You're going to make a V out of it. And then you're going to take your index finger of your other hand, and you're just going to pinch them together. Okay? Very simple. So we're going to do this all the way around. If you're somebody that has crazy long nails, you might want to find somebody that doesn't to do this. Okay? You're going to go all the way around. Flute it. Now, you have other options too, alright, mind you. You could, if you wanted to, use a fork. If you wanted to, you could flute it using a fork. It just gives a different design. Neither one is right, neither one is wrong. It's entirely up to you. Either way you go, it just needs to be pinched and sealed off. Okay? I like the fluting. So I'll leave that other side there for all of you nonconformists. Okay. Right here, what we have right now, we have a pie that's completely sealed up. When this pie is completely sealed up, steam is going to build up, okay? You have liquids in here, and that steam is going to build up as it cooks. And it's going to bust the pie crust open if you're not careful, much like your potatoes or anything else that has some sort of casing. You need to make sure you allow a space for the steam to escape. So, what you can do here, take a sharp knife. You want a sharp knife. Go get one of your paring knives to do this. And you're going to cut slits in it. Now, the slits, you can be a traditionalist and go with just some good old-fashioned like arrow type things, chevrons, okay, type deals. You could do something like that. You could, this is black raspberry, so I could make an R in it, okay. When you do it, you just have to be very careful. Think about your cake decorating. You don't want to let the whole thing touch. So notice that I did not touch the line of the R, and even the whole circle, I let a little bit still connected, okay? You could go around and just put 4 holes. They don't have to be big. You don't have to open them up a lot, okay? Just slits, places for the steam to escape. This is also a place where you could, if you wanted to, take this excess dough that you have. You could take it and gather it up here. Got a little bit over here. Let's grab that. You could take it and roll it up. The best you can, because mind you, there's a lot of flour on here now. It can be a challenge at this point. I think I got too much flour. Alright, anyways. You could take and you could cut out, like here, I have a turkey since we're coming up on Thanksgiving. You could take this turkey and you could lay it on your crust. It's a decoration, okay? You could even lay him in the center. Check this out. He's in the center. You still have your slits here, but it looks nice. There's all kinds of stuff you can do with the pie crust. In all honesty, it is your own limited imagination that's going to stop you from doing this. You could also, if you wanted to, take some of your pie crust, roll it out long, okay, so kind of rectangular. And the dough's getting kind of warm now at this point, but you can make some thin strips. The best you can. And again, my dough is getting warm, so it's getting to be difficult. Okay. And you could braid it. And I got this too thick. It needs to be thinner. Anyways, you could braid this dough, okay? There are all kinds of things you can do. Get creative. Look something up. Before you go into lab to do this, go online. Look up different things you can do with pie dough. There's all kinds of cool stuff. Alright? Just give it a try. Be adventurous. See, you're not going to really hurt this dough, mind you. Alright? I've played with it. I've done all kinds of stuff with it, and it's perfectly fine. Find something that works for you. Like I say, go online, Google it, look up pictures of pies and see what other people have done. No limit. Alright? Easy. Okay, guys. Sorry about that. One more thing I forgot to tell you. Whenever you go to put this pie in the oven, you're going to put it in for about an hour. And you have to do that in order to cook the apples in the center here. However, the very edge, your fluted edge here, does not need an hour to bake. And it will burn if you're not careful. So what you're going to do is you're going to get 3 or 4 pieces of foil, strips of foil. And you are going to link them together. So to link them together, you are just going to fold them back and forth a couple of times, okay? Until they feel like they're going to stick together. What this is going to do is the foil is going to help deflect the heat, all right, so that your pie can bake without burning your crust. And then you're just going to take and put it all around your pie. And here it's a little bit long, and that's okay. And then you're just going to bend it inward, not touching, never touching your crust. So as you can see here, that's going to protect that fluted edge. You'll stick it in the oven. I usually put mine on something just in case it boils over. Pies tend to bubble over just a little bit, especially fruit pies. So I typically put this on a cookie sheet that has been sprayed well, or with nonstick foil, so that you don't have to try to scrub it later, because it is hard to get off that pan. Alright, so you're just going to take this, you're going to set this on your cookie sheet, put it in the oven, and bake it for your hour, and then enjoy.